Welcome back to another episode of Bravolebritea Daily. I'm your host, Giorgio from Giorgio Says. Before we get into today's topics, I just want to give you guys a couple reminders. If you're not subscribed to my channel, that hurts my feelings, and I would love it if you subscribed. I'd also love it if you could hit the notification bell because that will let you know when I release a new episode, which is every single day. The second thing I want to remind everyone is that there is a giveaway that I'm hosting, and it goes until March 3rd, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you have about 2 more days to enter the giveaway. If you want to know how to enter the giveaway, you just need to head over to Giorgio Says on TikTok, and I have the video pinned with all the rules on how to enter. All right, so let's get into today's topics because although there's not a ton of them, the ones that I'm going to discuss today, I think, are pretty meaty. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is Jen Shah and her whole court debacle. So yesterday, I guess the court decided they wanted to have a hearing, and it's not the hearing that we know she's got to go to. I believe that one is on March 22nd. This one didn't really specify what the court hearing was going to be about. However, a document released that Ronald Richards actually captured stated that her lawyers are basically asking the judge and the court to excuse her from attending in person because of the fact that she resides in Utah. Now, that was how it was left yesterday. So today, it seems that the judge did grant her, to be excused from showing up and basically gave her the day off, as Ronald Richards put it in his tweet. The thing that's questionable here is for someone to have a hearing be thrown out there so quickly. I'm not quite sure I understand that she's probably not going to want to fly all the way to New York on short notice, but there's got to be a way. I'm sure there was like a way to Zoom in or connect in another way that she could be present, because if I were her, I would be almost scared to not show up to something like that just because of everything that's going on with her and the allegations. So it's interesting that she's kind of taken this, like, I don't know, she's kind of got this like whole attitude of, I'm just going to let it be the way it is, and whatever happens, happens. And she continues to claim her innocence, as she should, because she has not been proven guilty yet. But I do think there's a certain demeanor in these situations. And my opinion, I think I would have tried my best to show up for that hearing today, because who knows what would have been mentioned. And it's not that her not showing up is going to potentially hurt her when she goes to trial on March 22nd. However, what if today was a reschedule of that trial, or there was something new and she just wasn't there for it? So I think, for me, I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth here, and it's not clear as to what will happen after March 22nd. We don't really know if she'll be able to continue filming or how much she'll be able to film, which is why it's super important for the other ladies to continue on and to build their storylines out, because it's clear we're not going to be able to bet on the fact that, Jen Shah is going to have an anchored storyline where we get to see what's going on with her. If anything, we'll get the hearsay based on what the ladies find out, or what we get that's published through the media or through like a Ronald Richards of, some sort. So it will be interesting. And I think we'll have to continue just kind of watching the story. And as you know, like, part 2 of the reunion will air on Sunday. And then once part 3 is done, then the season's wrapped. So we can only rely on what the media is letting us know, or our insiders, or people that are kind of closely connected. But it seems like it's not going to go away anytime soon. And there's no telling that the trial on March 22nd is going to prove anything, or, they're not going to sort it out on that day. I doubt that, but I do think it will start the ball rolling. And I think that could cause some conflicts for her with trying to film the show. I know that the producers want to capture that, obviously, because it's a big part of her story. So I get that. I just, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But, you know, she's got a lot of kahunas, guys. Like, it's mind blowing. I mean, maybe it's just me, but I feel like as inconvenient as it would be to go to New York for a hearing that was maybe thrown out last minute, I would jump on the plane at this point. Like, I would do it. So I will keep you guys posted on any updates that I hear of regarding what happened today. And I'm waiting to see when Ronald will give us an update as to what actually happened. If they went ahead without her, or they just went ahead and they're just going to send out a document basically about what the trial or the hearing today was going to be about. So I will keep you posted, but let me know in the comments, what do you think about all this? What do you think about Jen trying to get out of and actually getting out of showing up for the court hearing today, as well as what do you think we're going to see in terms of her story for season 3? Do you think that we're going to be able to get to see everything that's happening in real time? I don't know. We'll have to stay tuned. But, you know, speaking of Salt Lake City, as you probably remember watching part 1 of the reunion, there was a little back and forth between Heather and Lisa. And it was clear Lisa had some things she needed to get off her chest. She even said, I'm not holding back anymore. But there was one part, and some people missed it, some people didn't. I definitely didn't. Even though it was a quick, like, if you weren't paying attention, you would have missed it, where Heather basically says to Lisa, I have a lot of dirt on you. And Lisa turned around and was like, yeah, well, you had a DUI. And Heather said, no, I didn't. Look it up. And Lisa says, I did look it up, and you're a liar. So I knew in that moment that the media, someone was going to get a hold or look for this information. And lo and behold, shout out to The Sun, they broke an exclusive where I guess they went ahead and searched for the documents, and she was pulled over. This was back in 2012. She refused a breathalyzer, and so they arrested her and brought her down to the police station. And then I guess they put out a warrant to pull her blood to be able to test to see if she had alcohol in her system. And, you know, she tested, I think, at 0.6 blood alcohol level, but then she also tested positive for amphetamines. And she tried to push back on that because she said they were specifically only supposed to look for alcohol, but then they brought in the amphetamines. And so the judge rejected that order. But ultimately, her lawyers were obviously able to negotiate the DUI down to reckless driving. And ultimately, she only had to do 2 days of community service and pay a $600 fine. So is it the biggest skeleton in the closet? No. But when you're calling other people out and saying you have dirt on them, but then you refuse to even acknowledge that you got arrested for a DUI. Now, a lot of people on TikTok, when I posted this, came in the comments and said, well, technically, she didn't get a DUI. She got reckless driving. I mean, that's kind of like, that's a stretch. I mean, she was pulled over because she clearly seemed like she was under the influence of something, whether that be alcohol or whatever. And because she refused the breathalyzer and then they pulled her blood. I mean, she clearly had alcohol in her blood. So the point here is, I don't care what we're calling it, it's irresponsible behavior nonetheless. And I feel like I would have respected her more if she would have come out and just said, yeah, you're right, I did. But that was 10 years ago, and this is what happened, and da-da-da-da-da. Now, maybe she did, but I don't think so, because she kind of denied it. And so that's where we're at with this. But, you know, I like Heather. I do. I think she's good on the show. I think I like her story. I like what she brings to the table, if you will. I think she's kind of coming into her own. I think we'll see her get more and more comfortable as, you know, the seasons go, as long as she's on. But I do think it's interesting that, you know, it also proves that Lisa Barlow knew that the ladies were going to come after her, because she wouldn't have felt the need to go and dig anything up. Or, I mean, I don't even think Lisa would have mentioned the DUI had Heather not come at her so hard. I honestly believe that because I don't get that from Lisa. I don't think she's just petty like that to just bring up stuff just for the sake of bringing it up if it has no relevance. But because Heather's going back and forth with her and saying, I have dirt on you and I'm not holding back anymore, it's like, well, then it's fair game, right? But she chose to take the denial route. And maybe in her mind, it wasn't a DUI because technically it was reckless driving. So maybe if Lisa had said, well, you got pulled over for a DUI that got turned into reckless driving, maybe Heather's response would be different. But then I don't know. I guess we'll never know. But it'll be interesting to see if she spearheads that in season 3. Are they going to bring that up? I mean, they're already filming, and the Sun article came out, I believe, yesterday. So I can't imagine they're not going to bring this back up. So I could see Lisa being tasked with being like, yep, see, I said that. And then she said, I can already see it now. The flashback to the reunion where Heather's like, no, I didn't. You're a liar. So, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments because I'm very interested to know. Do you guys think that it's technically a DUI if it was dropped down to reckless driving? Are we missing the point here? I'd love to hear your thoughts because people on TikTok are all over the place with what they think it is. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. So let me know in the comments. Do you think Heather Gay lied, or do you think she was technically telling the truth? Because it wasn't a DUI, it was reckless driving charge. All right. So you guys know that I love a good blind item. And I know I shared one with you yesterday, and the verdict is still out on who we think it is for yesterday's blind item. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you don't know what the blind item is, just watch yesterday's episode of Bravolebritea Daily, and I talk about it on there. But today we got a new blind item. And it's interesting because this is another blind item that, again, is alleged, but it's pretty clear to me who they're speaking of. And the blind, I don't know it word for word, but basically the blind item insinuated that this person, this bar star is what they said, bar star. So automatically I'm like Vanderpump Rules. Always, and then they reference how this bar star continuously tries to make relationships seem authentic, like how he's doing with his current love interest, but it's all for a storyline. And it's clearly James Kennedy. We know that he's dating a new girl. She's very pretty, but we also know that Vanderpump Rules didn't have a ton of storylines starting out when they came back last season. And yes, towards the end, we started to get more storylines because things were happening outside the show, right? So obviously now, when they go into film, I'm hopeful that it'll be better. I'm hopeful that we'll get some more authentic storylines and things that are just something that's just not stale. So, but I don't know. It could be another bar star. I just can't think of anybody on Vanderpump Rules that seems to be jumping from relationship to relationship, unless this could be an option too. I wonder if they're referring to like Sheena, but then I'm like, I don't think so, because no, they're not talking about Sheena because Sheena's already with Brock. So this blind item specifically said that the new person that they are dating is kind of like meant for a storyline. So everything, the way I look at it, it's all pointing at James Kennedy, which, listen, I think James Kennedy is great for Vanderpump Rules. I think we've gotten a lot of entertainment out of him. We've seen highs and lows and highs again and lows again. So whether or not he's doing it for a storyline or not, you know, he gets the assignment. You know, Lala even said the producers of Vanderpump Rules, they almost reward you for being combative or confrontational. So, you know, I think James is doing what he needs to do to stay working, to stay on the show. And I'm sure production had a long talk with them to say, like, okay, what are we doing? What's going on? Because we can't have a season like last season. Now I get it with some, you know, I have some empathy. They were off the air for quite a bit of time. So there was a lapse between seasons, right? But then you look at like a Miami situation, and they were off the air for like almost a decade, if not a decade. and they came back and it was like seamless. And even they added new people. So it's not like they kept everything the same. So I don't know if that's really the reason. I think there was just not a lot going on. I think there was a lot of forced storylines last season. So I don't think that'll be the case next season, because we definitely have Lala dealing with Randall and that drama. James and Raquel not being together. James is clearly dating someone new. Raquel, I think, might be dating someone new. Maybe not, but it seems like we might have some meatier storylines is what I'm saying. So I think once we get into the thick of it and we start seeing what's actually happening, we'll know more. But it'll be interesting to see how James is on this next season, specifically if he is dating someone new. Is that going to play into a storyline with him and Raquel? God only knows. Well, that's all the topics that I have for you today. If you liked this video, make sure you hit like, comment down below what your thoughts were. And also let me know in the comments, what is it that you want me to start talking about more? Is there a show that you want me to cover, or if there's anything that you want me to dig further into? Let me know in the comments. And I will talk to you guys all tomorrow. Bye.